Hello and welcome back to Bamboo Point Airport and of course to Airport CEO. Now I did leave the game running for about 10 to 15 minutes between episodes just so that we could build up a little bit of cash, and it looks like we have a pretty decent cash flow going at the moment. We have $1.16 million in the bank, and the game is telling us that bird strikes and emergency landings and medical emergencies are rare but do happen. That is actually a lie because we turned them off. So we can pretty safely ignore that. However, the R&D project emergency response units does need to be researched in order to continue with the tutorials. So I forgot to assign anyone to this. So we're going to unlock night flights quickly. And then once that is done, we will move on to the emergency response units. But I need to address some things, right? Our passengers are not very happy at all. They have nowhere to sit. They have nowhere to go to the bathroom. They have nowhere to eat food. None of that. And that is definitely something that we need to address. The question is, where do we want to put those things, right? I think we should probably build out the waiting areas for our terminals first, or our gates, I should say, first, and then move on from there. So we're going to start with seating. We're probably going to go for these double rows. Our small aircraft will probably only require one of these each, if I'm being completely honest. The small aircraft really don't hold that many people, and there's just no real reason to go any bigger than this right now. I would like them to be somewhat even, so I'm going to leave a 2 gap on each of these and throw them down right about there. That should be seating pretty much dealt with for all of these passengers. Now, there are a couple of other things that we can do. We can do laptop tables, a long table with power outlets for recharging passengers' electronic devices. We could probably throw a couple of those in. If we throw one in, I don't know, maybe we do. Actually, let's cancel that plan. Let's grab these large tables again. Hold control and we can demolish the things that we're currently holding. So let's grab those large ones, demolish all of those. I actually don't like that idea anymore. Let's grab the small seats and we'll place 2 of them down with a little bit of a 2 gap in the middle. I think that'll look nice. Maybe place a plant there or something. Something like so. And then we can go ahead and grab the laptop tables and place them down like so and like so. And that'll still give us plenty of seating, but it'll also give our passengers the opportunity to recharge their electronic devices. Now, I do believe that is going to require actual seats for them to sit at, so we will go ahead and place all of those in as well, and then we'll just decorate this area out in a little bit of a time lapse. And then we can simply run the game and let them build all of that out. And with that done, our passengers should now be a little bit happier. You can see this guy here, if we let time speed up a little bit, his energy is slowly going up as they wait for their flights in that location. Now, it's probably a good idea to build some kind of a bathroom. And since this terminal is probably going to expand up this way, I think it's probably a good idea to have a bathroom somewhat central over near this entrance. And I think that's exactly what I want to do. So we need to go into our bathroom here. We'll probably need to build some walls, but I like to plan out the interior of the bathroom first. So let's say bathroom can go there, and we'll do like an 8x10. Should be more than enough for right now. Now, of course, we will need to go ahead and throw some walls in there, because if we don't have walls in the bathroom, that is just awkward. So in terms of walls, do I want to make it there or do I? Yeah, let's go. I think that is big enough to be a bathroom. Let's just double check that did all stay bathroom. Perfect. Now we'll need to add some doors, and I generally like to use smaller doors for the bathrooms, but that is personal preference and you can do whatever you like. So let's go ahead and add 4 doors in there. Come into the bathroom, grab some toilets. Let's just line the inside walls like so and like so. That should be more than enough. I'm not going to bother putting urinals in. I don't think it's necessary. And then we can just basically line these back walls with sinks. Like so. Hand dryer on either side of those sinks. And we didn't really leave room for any plants or anything, but I think that's okay. We probably don't really need them. Then we can come in with a nice little flooring for the bathroom just to separate it out a little bit, right? And that should, in theory, be our bathroom all done and dusted. And everyone should have nice, easy access to that, which should be good. It also looks like security isn't yet being swarmed, so we don't have to worry about that, and we can just let them build that and get on with our day. Alright, night flights is officially complete. We can now accept flights during the hours of 2200 to 500, which is very, very nice. The next thing the game wants us to research is emergency response units, and I am going to do that because I would like the bonus that we get for doing the tutorial. So emergency response units, we need at least 3 administrators to start this. So we'll go ahead and get that started, but we only currently have 2. So we're gonna have to go back into our staff, look at our applications, and find some more administrators to hire. I generally find it's better to hire more than you need and just figure it out from there, and that should be okay. So once I can get out of this menu, please, you can go ahead and assign all 6 of them to that, and that should go by relatively quickly. I'm just gonna let the game run as that happens, and we will come back from that point. One other thing that we can do while we wait for this to happen is actually connect our roads, because currently they aren't connected. And we can absolutely do that with service roads. We're just gonna grab grass. These automatically have a little bit of service road on them, so we can just drag that down, drag this across, and they will now be connected. Eventually we'll unlock tunnels and we're gonna hide this sort of thing, but for now, that should be good. That will give us access to the main road so that if we ever do have refueling available on our commercial flights, we can go ahead and connect them. But while they're building this, we are still continuing on with that emergency response units research, and that should be good. One thing I am noticing is that we don't have any commercial flights at our airport currently. And the reason for that is potentially just because none was scheduled. And it looks like that may be the case. It looks like they're all starting here because we did only just unlock night flights. It looks like they won't start until tomorrow, but that is absolutely okay. As we check in here, we just want to make sure that we are actually full. And it looks like we have a little bit of capacity. These guys are currently at 36 out of 50 flights available, and these guys are at 28 out of 35. So potentially we could think about adding another stand as well. And since we have a little bit of money at the moment, we may as well go ahead and do exactly that. So I'm going to put that down right about there. Grab ourselves a taxiway, make sure that is connected up with both a taxiway and a path. And then we can go ahead and we should be able to just copy and paste everything from down here and place it in the exact same spot, hopefully. So right about there is where I want to say it is. And that lines up nicely. And then we just, of course, need to grab ourselves a door so that they can actually get out of our airport. And that is going to go right about there. Does this line up? It doesn't look like it lines up to me. I don't think they line up. Let me just... That lines up, but this doesn't look like... I'm just going to let them build it. No, that's definitely one too far back. Let's just remove that for a second. Grab ourselves the gate. And that should, in theory, go right about... Is it at the bottom or the top? Bottom. Right about there. It's weird that that didn't line up. Is that now too big of a gap? I think that's too big of a gap. I think I've messed something up here. That's 1, 2, 3. That's wrong. That is wrong. Let me get rid of that. Let me get rid of this as well. Now we can copy and paste the whole thing as one unit. So, building tools, copy and paste, and I want everything in here. Why do they not line up when I copy and paste them? I just copied that, and it's wrong. Like, it's saying it should be there. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Alright, well, instead, let's just grab our boarding desk, small, make sure it lines up here. It's at the bottom. That can go there. And then we can grab our building tools, copy and paste mode, copy just this part, and that can sit there. Perfect. I don't understand how that happened, but it is what it is. So I guess that's fine. Let's let them build that, finish this R&D, and we should be able to go from there. We need to open this up to, okay, we need to close it first. It shouldn't be assigned to an aircraft because the only thing connected is this, and this doesn't allow general aviation. So that makes no sense to me, but that is okay. Please just let me close it. Oh, maybe I need this first. That's so strange that it won't let me do that. But we can go ahead and connect this stand to there. Close this, open that, and that is officially another gate for our airport, which should, in theory, help us make a little bit more money. Now the game really wants us to build an emergency response station. We don't technically need one, but I will go through the tutorial and build all of these things. And whether or not we keep them, it's highly dependent on how much room we have, right? So the question is, since we don't need them, we could, in theory, build them out here where they're not technically a part of our airport, and I kind of like the idea of doing that. So let's grab ourselves an emergency response station. That can live right about there, I think is fine. Let's grab our police station. That can live right about there. And then we can go in and bulldoze this part of the fence. Let's bulldoze that entire section. Grab ourselves the terminal fence and just re-fence this entire thing in so that it's technically part of our airport, but once we zoom out, we won't actually see it. And then from there, we can grab ourselves our infrastructure and transportation, grab ourselves a service road, and that will just go straight through the middle here. But of course, we need to wait for this fence to be deconstructed before we can actually complete that. With these now built, it is telling us to purchase an airport police car, a fire truck, and an ambulance. And again, I will go through this and absolutely do it. So we're going to buy one police car, one ambulance, and one fire truck, and just let them spawn in. From there, this is actually something that we do need. If an aircraft is damaged, it has to be repaired in a hangar. Build a hangar and connect it to a taxiway. Now, the question is, do we actually need it because we don't have any emergencies? I actually don't know that we do, but it's something we're going to build anyway. So we only have the small version available to us. And honestly, I think that can just live right down here. And we just simply go ahead and connect that up with taxiway and a taxiway path. And that should be more than enough to deal with whatever we've got going. Now, general aviation isn't going to be able to access that. But again, because we don't have emergencies turned on, that shouldn't really be a problem in theory. And with that complete, we now have, from the runway upgrades panel, build a bird strike prevention system BSPS device. So we come in here, we say upgrades, and we can add bird strike prevention to this runway. And I think I'm going to just put these on the 1,000-foot marker. I think that's more than enough, especially considering we have emergencies turned off and we shouldn't actually need them at all. All right. Next thing is patrols. Create a security officer patrol route inside of a terminal. Make the patrol route 4 nodes or longer, and we can absolutely do that. To do that, we come into security patrols, we say security officer patrol, and I guess we just say, hey, you guys patrol from there to there, all the way down to the bottom of the terminal, and then to there, and then right back up. Just like that, and we can save that patrol. That is now complete. We'll now have a security officer patrolling inside of our secure zone. The game then wants us to create an airport police car patrol, and this is generally used to deal with animals. But because we're fully fenced in, animals really shouldn't be that much of a problem. However, I believe this is the part where we actually get our bonus. So if we just go patrol from there to there to there and back again, that should be more than enough to complete that. They're just gonna do circles. And then we can use delete a patrol route by choosing the X icon and delete one of the nodes. So we just click on that and that is now gone. When you're ready, you can expand your small regional airport and attract some higher rated airline contracts. We need you to build larger aircraft stands and make sure our runway can handle jets that will soon land. Since all commercial flights use the Jet A1 fuel type, we should build a Jet A1 fuel depot, just like we did with Avgas. And that is pretty much it. I believe if we check our mail, no, there it is. We did get the bonus at some point. That must have been while we were just idle, but we got our bonus. We really don't care about this tutorial anymore. So I'm just gonna hide that and we will play the game however we see fit from here on out. The bonus is basically the only thing worth doing in the tutorial, so that is good that we now have that. In theory, we could delete all of these things, but I think it is actually good to have them. just, you know, to boost our rating just that little bit higher. And I think that's fine. All right, so what is next, you may be asking? And I think next is going to be building out this side of the airport. We have this side up and running. It's making us some money, not a ton, but some. So I think I'd like to get this side of the airport built out. Before I do that, I think I would, however, like to get that Jet A1 fuel depot up and running on this side, because that will help us bring in a little bit more money as well. Also, our staff is currently flashing, and that is because we don't have any janitors in our airport at the moment, and that is a very important thing to have. So let's go ahead and look at our applicants and look for some janitors. I want to hire you. I want to hire you. You can be rejected. You can be rejected. Reject, reject, reject. And realistically, we're just looking for the best possible people we can find. And honestly, that should be more than enough janitors to get us started. You can see we have a surplus of everyone, and that is exactly what we are looking for. Perfect. All right. Our airport should now be a little bit cleaner, and we can start working on that Jet A1 fuel for our commercial flights. So that is in airport infrastructure. If we now look at our fuel depots, we only have small avgas 100 LL. And that is because we need to research a whole bunch more stuff. So let's go into R&D. Emergency response units is complete. And what I would actually like to do first is program group 1. This unlocks the R&D project group 2, which is, if I can get out of that screen for a second and come back here, that is this, right? Then we can have two things being researched at once. So program group 1 is exactly what I want to start researching next. We'll throw as many people on that as we can, and then we just wait for a little bit. And while we're waiting, I think I will go ahead and build out this side of the airport. At the very least, I want to build out the general aviation. Program group 1 is now complete, and that will unlock project group 2, which is exactly what I was talking about before. That will unlock this slot so that we can research multiple things at the same time. We'll go ahead and throw all 6 administrators on that for the time being. And while we're at it, because we're about to need a whole bunch more, let's go ahead and hire a couple of more administrators to get this ball rolling just that little bit quicker. Honestly, administrators is the one thing where you can hire slightly worse people, but it's always good to get someone who is at least green. Even that is a little bit low, but you are perfect. We pause the game, we can go ahead and reject everyone that we don't want. Run the game again, it'll refresh, and we can hire a whole bunch more people. And that'll probably do us for the time being, because I don't know how many administrators we currently have, but I think it's more than enough. We have more than 2 pages, so yeah, that will do for now. All right, with this done, we don't actually have any taxiways over here, so let me go ahead and fix that up real quick, and then we can get this side working with general aviation. And with the taxiways connected, we can now go ahead and say, I do not want any commercial flights on this, and open up that runway for general aviation. Now, these guys aren't going to have avgas, and the main reason is because everyone's coming in over here, and we don't actually have any facilities on this side. So I'm considering building another world entrance tunnel over this way and getting a separate network over here to deal with that. But I think we're going to wait until this is all built and we have a couple more research projects under our belt, because I would like to use some tunnels in order to get that done nice and neatly. Everything else seems to be running smoothly for the time being, so it's not a huge deal. If we check in on our R&D projects, group 2 is officially complete, and now we can start getting other things. Floor construction permit is escalators, multiple, levels. That would be nice to have. Extended commercial license will give us a medium ATC tower, which will give us capabilities of handling more flights. Medium aircraft will give us medium aircraft. Jet A1 fuel is something that I absolutely want to get started as soon as possible, so let's get everyone working on that. And in project group 2, I think medium fuel depots is probably a decent choice. And that happens so quickly that we already have the option to get another one. And I think I will go for program group 2, just to get that started so that we can unlock the third one. And we should be able to breeze through all of this research relatively quickly. Proactive maintenance is probably the next thing that I'm going to do. That enables janitors and service technicians to maintain floors and broken objects before they become dirty or broken. So we'll start that. Get as many people on that as we can. Program Group 2 is now finished, so we'll start working on Project Group 3. The program groups, what they do is they unlock the ability to have these programs down here. These can reduce project time, which is absolutely something that I want to do. You can have 5 people on any of these, but you can only have 2 from each thing. Otherwise, it won't work. So, in terms of things that we currently want, increased construction speed is probably one that we are definitely interested in, because we're going to be doing a lot of building. Upkeep cost reduction or salary cost reduction is probably what we're going to go for otherwise. These two might be the final things that we have once we've built a whole lot of our construction. But for right now, we don't have the administrators to do that. So let's go back into staff, look at our applicants, and go ahead and hire a whole bunch more people. And that'll probably do it for the moment. Back into R&D, we can go ahead and put 5 people on increased construction speed. And let's go for salary cost reduction at the moment, just while we have all of these administrators on our roster, right? And then I think the last thing that we probably want to get is staff productivity boost. And we can go ahead and put 5 on there as well. Project Group 3 is now unlocked, so we can now go ahead and unlock Program Group 3. That will unlock these. Proactive maintenance can go into baggage handling, is probably a good thing to get. We're probably going to get like all of the things that we possibly can before moving on to other things. Then I think, what's structural engineering do? Concrete. That is absolutely something that I'm interested in getting. So we'll start that as well, and we'll put 5 administrators on that. With Program Group 3 done, we can go ahead and unlock Maverick fuel trucks to just make those a little bit more efficient. Structural engineering will go to the floor construction permit. And at this point, I'm probably just going to work my way through them, and we'll unlock every single one of the R&D projects nice and quickly so that we never have to worry about it again. And while we are doing this, we also unlocked Group 3. And I think some of the best ones we can get here is the supplier discount. This will give us a discount on fuel specifically, but also food. So I think that's something that we definitely want to put our points into. And then, honestly, probably 5% increase to airline satisfaction is the other one that I want, because I find that airline satisfaction is one of the hardest things to get up. And it's good if we can just increase that a little bit. So that is exactly what I'm going to do. Now, in order to unlock the de-icing R&D, which honestly we probably will never actually use, one thing that we do need to do is build a weather station. So I'm just going to do that very quickly. Go ahead and grab a large weather station, and that could probably just mirror where this is over on this side, and that'll be absolutely fine. Like I said, we don't really need it, but it's something that I'd like to have in place just so that that works out nicely. Now, it looks like we have a shortage of fuel trucks for avgas. I imagine that's because these guys are over here. The 2 trucks should be able to handle this just fine. And yeah, we're just going to ignore that warning for the time being while we continue to complete all of these projects. And it looks like we need to hire a strategy director in order to actually finish this research. So we're going to come in and quickly grab ourselves a strategy director, and honestly, we'll probably just keep them. Let's go ahead and get ourselves a procurement director as well, just so that we have a full team. Now that we are making a little bit of money, we can go back into R&D and say, please go ahead and start the final 2 projects. And that should, unless these unlock something else, should be absolutely everything that we need to get done in terms of research and development. And now we can actually start building anything and everything that we want. And I now have to try and figure out how this game works again, because it has been a minute. Oh, we actually do have one more research project, Quality Kitchen Restaurants, and I think this is the final one. We'll go ahead and throw all of our administrators onto that. That should be done very, very soon. All right, and that is all of the projects officially done. Now, there are two very important things that we need to do at this point. One of them is just get rid of this. Reduce project time is now utterly useless. So we can turn that off, right? And we can change it to either passenger satisfaction boost or marketing. And I think I'm actually going to do both because staff productivity boost is kind of nice. We've currently got a 47% increase to staff skill. Okay, I'll keep that. I will keep that. Marketing, 5% increased passenger spending at food and shop franchises. Also attracts visitors to the airport. I'm not a super fan of that. I don't really like the food and shop franchises mechanic in this game. So instead, I'm going to go for the passenger satisfaction boost. Keep everyone nice and happy. Any others that we could potentially get rid of? We could potentially go ahead and say, get rid of the salary cost reduction. We're currently reducing it by 23%. That is going to be outweighed by our upkeep at some point very soon. So I'm actually going to reduce that and switch that over to upkeep. And the reason that I want to do that is because we now only need 10, 20, 30 administrators, right? And we currently have more than that. This is 15, so we only need 2 full pages of these guys. And that is absolutely enough. Now, if we go ahead and filter by skill level and reduce it down to our lowest, administrators, we can then go in and fire them. Whoop, that was probably more than I wanted to fire, but that's okay. Let's reduce that down a little bit. Fire, 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 fire. I wish you could sort by skill, but unfortunately that's not a thing. And we still have 5 pages, so we definitely need to fire a couple more people. Let's go ahead and fire like all of them. And then we still have 4 pages, so let's go ahead and fire some more. Fire, fire. Now we're specifically looking for the bad ones. I don't know why sometimes it shows me better ones than I've currently selected, but that is now 2 pages and we need 2 more people. So that's okay. We overfired a little bit, but we can go back into our administrators here. Pause the game again. Reject all of these terrible ones. Unpause, repause, hire you, reject the rest, unpause and hire you, and reject the rest. And that should, in theory, be 30 administrators that are all quite well trained. And what we can do is we can actually train all staff so that these guys are even better. And I'm absolutely going to do that. That's going to cost us 80 grand. Train all staff, train all staff, train all staff, train all staff, train all staff. All right, now our administrators should be so very good. Assuming that we still have some, because I now no longer see any, and it's telling me that I only have 2 janitors. I guess this is just because they can't be trained anymore. If I train you, yep, you're max trained, you're max trained. Where did all my administrators go? If we have a look down here, we still do have the staff. They're just not listed in our staff, which is slightly concerning, but I think it's okay. I think it's okay. We also have a red check mark. Service vehicle can't reach their designated job site. That is because this is not currently connected. That is okay for the moment. We can deal with that a little bit later on. I'll leave the game paused for a moment and just jump quickly back into my staff and see if I can't get them all to come back. It doesn't look like it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save the game, Bamboo Point 1.5, save that, and then we can quickly load that back in, and hopefully that fixes it. Okay, and it's giving me the introduction again, which is concerning. Let's just skip through that, H, and get rid of that. And let's have a look at our staff. It's still saying that we have 0 staff. Staff happiness is 56%. Train all staff are fully trained, but it's just not showing me that they are there. So let's run the game for a little bit. And let's turn that to silent mode and see if they come back during the daytime. I hope that they do. All right, it's about 7 a.m. I don't know what time staff come in. Like, we clearly have staff in the staff room, so I'm not concerned about that. I'm just concerned about the fact that I couldn't fire them if I wanted to, which I don't. I need 30 administrators anyway, but like, what do you mean? They're just not there. They're just not there at all. Yeah, I'm confused. Let's go for an administrator. Let's hire one. And yeah, they're there. I don't need you. Let's just fire them and call it good. Because we clearly have 55 staff. You know what? It's fine. It's fine. We have staff. I don't know what's happening. We'll call that good though. We'll call that good. All our staff are fully trained, maxed out. That is exactly what we want. Now it is time to connect up this side of the airport to this side of the airport. And the question is, how do we want to do that? That is going to be infrastructure and transportation. And I would like a service road tunnel down. And I basically just want this to line up with this road here and go somewhere like so. I believe that is the correct way to go. Go somewhere like so. And then we should be able to hit page down, see that road, grab ourselves a service road. I'm still going to just make this grass for the time being. Come back up and we connect that to there, that all the way over to there. And that should be absolutely fantastic. That can connect back up to there as well. And then we just need to get ourselves a fuel depot and a parking lot over on this side. Now, the question is, do we want to increase the size of this? I think the answer is yes. So I'm going to go into my operations for the time being, turn off avgas, and then simply demolish this and this. Now, we're going to have two vehicles that don't have anywhere to park, but I'm okay with that for the time being. All right, with those gone, we can now come into aircraft infrastructure, grab ourselves a fuel depot, and I would like a medium avgas to go right about there. I would like a vehicle depot to go right about there, and then we have a little bit of room in the middle if we want anything else. For instance, we could potentially put a fuel tank in there, but it doesn't actually fit. So that is the plan for that for right now. And we are going to mirror that on the other side. So we want a medium avgas over here. That is going to live right about there. Grab ourselves a vehicle depot. There's going to be a 2 wide gap just so that they are symmetrical. And we can grab our service road and connect those up just like so. Now, the other thing that we need to worry about is vehicles, because we have 2 fuel truck avgas. They're not particularly good, right? I'm going to sell both of those because we now have much better options. I would like fuel trucks, and I would like, okay, that unselected fuel trucks. Let's unselect everything and just go for fuel. And this is what we currently have, right? We have Maverick trailers for Jet A1. We have Maverick trailers for avgas. These are the best ones, but they are rather expensive. I don't think we need those for our general aviation, to be perfectly honest with you. They cost us $150 an hour plus an initial $3,000, and that just seems a little bit much. So I think I will stick with the Fjord trailer trucks for avgas. I'm going to get 4 of those. We can have 2 on either side. We need a vehicle checkpoint and a vehicle depot. Okay, so we need to wait for our depots to be built. So we're just going to let the game run for a little bit while they build all of that up. One thing that we could probably do to increase our work efficiency is come back into construction and deploy the remaining 37 contractors that we currently haven't got deployed. And we can even potentially look at our contractors and see what we can do here. These guys are offering 141 for $4 each. That is much better than the current one that we have available to us. So let's go into our accepted contracts. Brickley is our contract. We have 118 for $5.20. That is no longer a good deal, so I'm going to cancel that. Never mind. I'm going to go into my operations, dismiss all of my contractors, go back to economy, cancel that contract, go to my active contracts, and choose Blue Build Construction Limited and get this 141 for $4 an hour. That seems like a much better deal to me. Then we can go back into construction, deploy all 141, and that should significantly increase the amount of construction we can do in a short amount of time. Plus, we also have the R&D project, or R&D program, I should say, that increased construction speed. We currently have a 21% increase on that. So that is very, very nice. All right, looks like this is now full, or now built. as soon as this unlocks, we can go ahead and move this up to resupply at 50% rather than resupplying at 10%. And we should now be able to go into our vehicles and choose to buy 4 Fjord trailer trucks, which is fantastic. With that done, we can come back in here. Once we get a delivery in here, we should be able to get that filled out. While we're waiting though, it probably would behoove us to have a look at our aviation fuel supplier. AV Fuel is currently offering $129 a litre and they can deliver 400,000. If we have a look at offered contracts, we now have these guys, which is 105 and they can deliver twice as much. Or we have this, which is 80 cents per litre and they can deliver twice as much as well. I would very much like to sign that, but of course we do have to cancel the one we currently have. So let's cancel that, go back into our offered contracts, and Fuel and Go, you are now our official supplier of fuel. And we can raise both of these depots back up to 50% as soon as this gets a delivery, and that should be absolutely fantastic. And we're finally getting that delivery, which means once that delivery is finished, we should be allowed to adjust this slider. Give it a second. Takes a minute to fill up these tanks. They're quite large. And there we go. We can now resupply at 50% and all of our general aviation should have fuel. We just need to go back into our operations here and turn on that Avgas 100LL fuel service again. The only other thing that I want to do is assign 2 of these trucks to the depots, right? So that is those guys over there. You're going over there, assign and assign. And I think I would like to actually rename these depots as well. So this will be left depot and this will be right depot. Right, and then once we come in back in here, you can see we've got 2 assigned to left and 2 assigned to right, and that should be absolutely fantastic. Everyone should have fuel again, and we can continue building this out with a couple more stands just to bring in that little bit of extra cash. So let's go back in, grab our grass stands, and we can just build them the right way around would be fantastic. There. Oh, are they grass? Yeah, they're grass. I got concerned there for a second. I thought they were concrete. There and there. And then we just need to connect all of that up with a service road. Just like... Nope, they're already connected. We need to connect them up with a taxiway. Is what I meant to say. Taxiway foundation. And that's just going to go from the stand. Nope, that's not what I wanted, but that's fine. Grab ourselves our taxiway paths and make sure they are connected up. Just like so. And that will increase our general aviation by another quarter, which in turn should make us a little bit more money, which is a very good thing because we are running low on funds at the moment, and I'm hoping that we are still actually making money. I hope. We'll let the game run for a little bit and judge that for a little bit. We're currently at $135,000. If you guys could remember that for me, that would be fantastic. I just want to quickly check my flight planner and see how we're doing. Flight capacity is currently at 25 out of 25. That is because our ATC tower is not big enough. You can see we have gained like 15 grand, so that's good, but I want to leave it run until like tomorrow morning, just because we do have ebbs and flows in our cash flow, and I want to make sure that we are actually positive at the moment before we go too much further, because we may have to adjust our strategy if we aren't. Alright, so we'll go until tomorrow when we get the economy report, and that should tell us for sure whether or not we're actually making money. In terms of our satisfaction at the moment, we're doing okay, about 80%. We're lacking on a couple of things. We're lacking on general aviation infrastructure quality. It's just because everything is currently grass because we're broke. Airline infrastructure quality, again, exactly the same thing. Baggage loaded on aircraft and baggage reaching passenger is low because we haven't set up any baggage claim yet. We also don't have any services available to passengers, which is not a generally good thing. And our security is lacking a little bit because we're not scanning any of that baggage. But that is absolutely okay. One thing that I do want to build quickly that we can do very, very easily is... where does that exist? I want to grab airline lounges. No. Restaurants and food. I know for a fact that there are vending machines in this game. Is it in terminal? Yes. Yes, there it is. I just want to add a couple of vending machines near my gates so that we can, you know, feed and drink our passengers a little bit, because currently we don't have anything. So that was drinks, I believe. Let's get a food one in there as well. And then we can simply go into our building tools and say, copy paste mode, grab that and throw that at every gate, just so everyone definitely has something to eat or drink. And the only other thing that I definitely want to add is a trash can right next to those to make sure that we are keeping the airport as clean as we possibly can. This will probably all change a little bit as we move on with the playthrough. These will get a little bit more big, a little bit more extravagant, but for the moment, the airport seems to be running well. We did just spend a little bit of money as well. I said that I was going to let it run, so I'm just going to leave the game to run until tomorrow morning when we get that economy report. The good news is we are over $135,000, so we didn't lose too much money doing that. Alright, I said I was going to let it run, but we are clearly making money at this point, and I am happy enough with that. I think the next thing that I want to do is expand this to have one more stand on it. But before we do that, we are actually at our limit with this ATC tower. So, let's go ahead and fix that, and that will be in aircraft infrastructure, I believe. And we can go ahead and grab ourselves a large tower. Now, unfortunately, this building does not... It's not an even number, which means I can't put it right in the middle of my airport. Let's go ahead and have a look at how big a medium runway is going to be in planning mode. If we do this with concrete, well, that's frustrating. I mean, we could put it all the way up here, but then we won't be able to get onto it. If we rotate this, I think this is actually too big. Yeah, 100%. Okay, we may have to move our runways in a little bit. Well, that's unfortunate. We might be able to just barely get away with putting this here. Oh, that's so annoying. I was going to say we could put it in the middle, but we can't even do that. It's also not an even amount of squares. So this is never going to be centered. It's going to be close. It technically fits, but it's not going to look good. Okay. Change of plans. Let's ditch this side of the airport. Make this airport a little bit asymmetrical. I think remove the general aviation from this side. Have this be the passenger runway. Potentially move it all the way off to the side there. And just have general aviation on this side. Otherwise, we're not going to have any room. And I know I could come out here, but I really want to be able to see my entire airport. That was like the whole point of this. Alright, well that's very frustrating. Let's get rid of all of this. That's going to be deconstructed. Let's get rid of the terminal. That can move. And then I guess we just get rid of this. I mean, I guess we don't have to do that yet. We could potentially do that later on. If we come in with our medium runway again, we have a look. I really would like a 5 gap between that. So that would be 2, 3, 4, 5. It would have to sit there. And that'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I want it right there is where I want it. And I cannot build it there. I could potentially go there and expand the top by 1 block. Just because, you know, we do have a little bit of room and I still would be able to see the entire thing. So I think that is what I'm going to do. This is just a plan for the moment. This will eventually move over here a little bit further so that it's a little bit nicer. I'm going to have a slightly asymmetrical airport and I think I'm okay with it. I think I'm okay with it. I don't love it, but I think I'm okay with it. Let's grab ourselves concrete, put that up right there. That's going to be our new border. Let's go ahead and bulldoze this section. Like so. And then we can just simply move our fence up by 1. And I'm okay with that. Fence is going to come from there all the way across to there. Oh, that's 1 too far. And down. But if we hold control, we can just simply get rid of that. And then we'll grab the bulldozer And I'll bulldoze that after the fact because there is a sneaky little cow in here that I don't actually want to be inside my airport. So I'll let them build that. As you can see, if we line this up right, yeah, you can still see the entire airport. I'm happy with that. I think that is okay. And we didn't even rate on the airport of the year, but that's okay. Eventually we might. We currently only have a rating of 81%, which, if I have a look at that, we should be here. I guess our average rating for the year wasn't that high, but we should be on that list. Why aren't our contractors doing the things? Oh, is that because it's in planning mode? I'm so silly. All right, building tools, build planned objects. Please actually go ahead and build the fence that I want. That's 100% my bad. I will take ownership of that. Please go ahead and build that entire fence, but don't build the concrete around it. I don't necessarily want that right now. And that should be okay. Now they'll go ahead and build that. We're just currently paying our contractors $4 an hour for absolutely nothing. And there they go. Look at them all. 140 something contractors to build a single fence. Very efficient. Some of them may be trapped, but we will release them in a second once we demolish this side. Let's actually get that set up now. Go ahead and select from there, zoom all the way out and try and get over here as quick as we can. And then we should be able to just demolish that side of the fence to expand our airport by 1 tile to make sure that this is actually 5 off the border, which is exactly where I want it to be. And they've left quite a mess with all their boxes, but that is okay. And there is going to be a cow in our airport. Hopefully they don't get in the way of too many jet engines. Alright, with that all being said and done, we got a lot done today. We got all of the R&D done before the end of year 1. We have a plan to bring in some medium aircraft. It did unfortunately mean that we have to ditch the general aviation. That is going to be the first thing that I try and do in the next episode. But with all that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. If you did, please go ahead and leave a like and a comment for the sake of engagement. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. Consider becoming a member of the channel if you'd like early access to all of the videos. But until next time, happy building, happy flying. Bye, guys.